Oh. Are you laughing at the fact that I think I said 4 and you just clapped 3 times?
Yeah.
Okay. Me? You? Would you like to? You've been doing this one beautifully.
Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul.
And I'm Patrick.
And we're going to talk about Shazam, which recently came out.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to see it on opening night. I, again, got to say up front, not the most knowledgeable guy about Shazam. I know you have a bit more comics accurate knowledge than I do. But I was a big fan of the lead actor in a TV show called Chuck that he used to be in. So when I heard this was coming out with him in it, I did start watching the marketing material, watched all the trailers, and I got excited for this. And I think I got excited for it for a reason that you've nailed pretty well. It's that DC are doing a great job of spreading the tree a little bit and going with different vibes and feels for their films.
Yeah, Marvel kind of have that formula that they kind of run with considerably, but DC have to kind of shift quite a bit to kind of get their landscape going, especially with the kind of weird shake-up of foundations of characters and and actors and everything like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it makes it interesting because they have to kind of we've got the Joker film coming out, which is going to be, that looks like it's going to be quite dark.
Yeah.
And then we just had Shazam, which is kind of
It had a more bubblegum veneer at least. Wonder Woman was a very different tone as well to, let's say, Aquaman. So yeah, I'm a big fan of them being all over the place on that, because it's better to be different than to try and copy somebody else's formula. So I'm glad that they're doing their own thing. They're winning a bit of interest and faith from me. So keep it up, DC.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's good because it does make you clear on DC and Marvel. Kind of Marvel have their main string of storylines interlaced with other ones, whereas DC are kind of trying to show that their characters are a little bit more differential from each other, kind of thing. You've got Aquaman, the King of the Sea. You've got Shazam, Magic Superman. I keep going to say Magic Mike. Don't know why.
Magic Superman and Magic Mike are just one word away.
You've got Wonder Woman, who the Wonder Woman film, which should be the Superman film. That annoys me.
Yeah. Rightly so.
You've got Superman and Batman film, Martha. You've got Man of Steel, which was kind of interesting, and then you've got the Justice League, which just never should be mentioned.
Yeah.
So they've got a real kind of up and down kind of thing, whereas Marvel's got that straight lace thing. So it always makes it interesting.
Which brings us into Shazam, though, because it was very much, it was slated from a long time back, but it was very much in the run up to it going to be a very different tone, as far as we could tell, to everything that they'd done before. And it's because of that. The simple premise is that Billy Batson, the kid, your protagonist, your hero, becomes Shazam at his age, as in he's a kid who can say Shazam and become Magic Superman. I almost said Magic Mike too. Magic Superman. And it's a great premise for anybody, young or old, to be watching that going, well, when I was 14, what would it have been like if I could have just shouted a word and become Superman, essentially. And I think they played with it really well.
It bases on the fact that we've all seen, as you said, wanted to be superheroes, but it's like the Banana Man from the Dandy and old comic books.
When Eric eats a banana.
Yeah, kind of thing. Or what you have Freakazoid, which is your man puts in a coat and becomes Freakazoid. All that, it's always those kind of nice transformation things.
But yeah, as far as when you walked out of the cinema, what was your first reaction? What was your first big feel for the film?
I liked the film. It was good. It was interesting in how they could make, Shazam work. So I was interested in that kind of thing, and they did make it work. So yeah, I liked the film.
Yeah,
I have problems with this,
which is why we're doing a video. I overall, I got to say, I agree with Paul. I absolutely do agree. I came out liking it. I will say that kind of hours later, the fact that I forgot about it quite quickly is starting to worry me. I wonder if it will come back, because any of these really, really good films, you do tend to think about the next day a little bit more, and I'm starting to wonder if it was just enjoyable fluff, because that's where I'm starting to go with on my feelings about it. I think it was just really nice. is where I'm starting to land on it a little bit.
I always have the opposite feeling to it, though. If I think about a film, it generally is because it was terrible.
Oh, because it's annoyed you. And you're
as in I'm just like, how did they get so many things wrong? Like, I think it's the second day afterwards, if it's a good film, that I start thinking about it more.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, like there's always the initial when I finish watching the film and you're leaving and you're on the way home and stuff, and you're having a discussion about it. That's when I'm like, loads of information and stuff. The next day, I'm kind of like, if it's a shit film, then I'm just like, it's still terrible.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. That is true. Well, I guess I think about the bad films, I think about the good films, and the ones in the middle, I don't know if I think about at all. And I'm starting to think Shazam might be in that middle ground. But having said that, I suppose we should really talk about the film a little bit before I give my final judgment. I'm going to go ahead and say that they did with the story that they had. They did an all right job. I think the story itself was fairly run-of-the-mill-ish, let's say. Like, I don't think they took any massive story chances. Was there any kind of big story twists or turns or crazy direction changes?
No, there wasn't really kind of anything that new to it. So... yeah, it was as you said, very basic and stuff like that. So,
and like, what else kind of hit you about the film?
Yeah, like, you know, tempo and which goes
tone.
Yeah, kind of like, you know, that was a bit of a mixed bag, because like there were some parts that I was just like, oh, this is getting kind of weirdly deeper and weirdly darker, and then there was like, you know, it just ignored that for ages, and you were just like, oh, okay, so you're going to have one kind of crowning dark moment and be just like, we're going to stick with that and stay there and stuff, and then you're not going to ever mention or play with it again. It's just like, if you've got a tool in the toolbox, you might as well bring it out one or two more times after showing that you have it.
Yeah, and light spoilers ahead, because I'm going to ask you, I think I feel the same way, and you're talking about from a tone point of view around the villain, let's say, and then also around the hero, the protagonist. They do run their stories in parallel up to a point of them both, as they always do in these things, and that's why it's relatively standard. You know, you have equal power sets, they always tie back to each other. It's the trope, and it's good. But there is, for the villain you're talking about, they made him genuinely evil and quite harsh with how he disposes of someone early on.
Yeah.
And that was like, and I really enjoyed that, because I thought, okay, if you're setting up a bad guy, set them up bad. That's great. But then they sort of backed off a little bit on that.
Yeah. Like it was I actually think I found that I think it was tonal problems with the villain and tempo problems with the hero.
I think
that's where I come down on the line now. I think you set the tone really well with Billy Batson and Shazam and all the secondary characters around him, but then the hero would fluctuate horribly in the fact that, you know, you give us one really dark moment, and like, because you show the obsessiveness of the character, then you show the darkness of the character, and then later on it's just like, you're now not playing with the tool that you just showed us, and it's kind of like, it's slightly annoying. Like, I get that you need to tone it down a bit, but having the tone that you did...
Oh, they went emotionally deep on Billy Batson, the main character, on his childhood journey, and they went very, very emotional relatively early on. Strangely, around the same time that they'd gone quite harsh with the villain. So I think they brought the whole audience to that point, and I think you've really put it well. The tone went kind of crazy for the villain, but the tempo, because they didn't go back again to that kind of deeper emotion for Billy Batson until much, much later, and kind of they wavered and went in and out. It was a little bit sloppy, or a little bit messy, I guess, inconsistent.
Yeah, like the
jagged.
My other problem with the tempo with the hero, with Shazam, is the fact is that they stood in the high school players too long.
Okay.
And the kind of origin part to it, a little bit too long for my taste, because my like, there's a problem I had with it, which is they had a moment within the film to show Billy Batson's a hero. and then forever, for ages onwards, it showed that he's not. And you're kind of just like, I get that you're trying to show us the power kind of slightly obscures our kind of vision of who we truly are, but you're playing this too long.
Yeah.
Like you're hammering in a nail that's already been hammered. You're now hammering into the next wall, which is the wall we didn't want to hammer in at all.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. So that's my problem with the tempo and the tempo with the villain, very straight laced kind of thing. Just started getting steadier and steadier faster to the climax and stuff. Just that tonal thing was really annoying.
Yeah, I'd have to say I 100% agree with that. That's exactly the way I'd feel about it too. If you were to look at another part of that though, the character, the villain himself, that character, and Shazam, as we've mentioned, they parallel each other, but they tried to give a decent enough backstory to the villain. He wasn't just introduced as villain number one. They did try. I don't know if they necessarily succeeded. They got 75% of the way there for me. But what they also do is they give you and spoiler again, they give you sort of a multifaceted nature to that villain, because he commands a certain or has a certain number of
minions and monsters,
let's say. Yeah, I'm trying not to give too much away. Whereas on the other side of it, one of the big issues for Shazam, for me, for the main character, is the way they played Billy Batson as a teen was quite stoic and quite, he wasn't exactly a chatterbox, and he was being quite emotional and teen orphan as he was with his emotional issues. The second he became Shazam, it was very happy, quippy, smiley Zach Levi. And when you do a film like Big, which they give a little nod to, when you do one of those body swap films, you have to make sure that you keep that connection. Otherwise, you're kind of going, oh, well, it just is a different guy right now.
Yeah, no, I do get your point. Because with the villain, no real change kind of thing. It's a...
Yeah, they set him up and then let him run. Yeah,
yeah, but you get his obsession as kind of really well and really straightforward. You get and then the causality of when he becomes who he is. It's also very good because it does continue on a little bit. Shazam, as you said, it's two people. Yeah, and my problem with this part is that in the animated movies, they do get him in the 52, which goes Justice League War, which is based on the 52 comics. They get his whole thing of that as well. He is a very kind of at the start when you first meet Billy Batson and the pawn shop thing. He is very much like that. Okay, and a very kind of conny, kind of like trickster kind of person. Yeah. Also, quite quiet as well. And then when he turns into Shazam, he's also the same. He's very much the same.
They're consistent.
Yeah, but it does bring out him a little bit more in Shazam than it does when he's Billy Batson. And then eventually the bleed over effect of being Shazam and Billy Batson kind of equalizes both of the characters out.
Okay, makes more sense.
Yeah, whereas this, as you are completely correct, it is two different people completely.
Yeah, which I got over very quickly, I'll be honest. It's one of those things that I'm noting more than I noticed and I'm noting. It didn't bother me enough though. It's not, oh my god, that's terrible. It would have been great if I don't want to blame the younger actor. I don't know if it was necessarily that, because I don't think the dialogue was there for him to say. So I don't think it was necessarily his performance, although it wasn't what I would class the best in the film, because he was outshone by the other child actors by quite some margin, I think. But Zach Levi as as Shazam, Magic Superman, grown up Billy Batson, whatever way you want to look at it, was, as he always is, charismatic, enjoyable, and just sort of perfect for it. He was perfect for it.
Yeah, he was very good.
Which means they should have really kind of concentrated to make sure there was a through line, because they got it so right on one side.
Yeah, as in, even if you did have Billy Batson being the stoic, kind of loner, quiet character, and then Shazam as the charismatic, quippy kind of character, you should have slowly brought them in line throughout the film.
Had a build-up.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting. And Freddy in that movie is one of the best.
Yeah,
like, you know,
Freddy is if you watch the trailer, he's the best friend child. He's a kid with a crutch. He's also an orphan, and he's awesome.
yeah, like that kid is very good at what he does, which is great.
And well written for too. Like the kid did well, but he probably also gets the lion's share of brilliant lines in the film.
Oh yeah, he gets a lot of them.
Yeah.
So like, but with the family and stuff, with the other characters, the family unit that they have with him is very good. I really liked them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is the mom and dad were suspiciously good.
I know what you mean.
A while.
Yeah, I know what you mean actually.
Like when Freddy says one of his great lines, when they're just like, yeah, it gets really, because it's in the trailer.
Yeah,
whenever it gets really Game of Thrones and stuff like that, I was just like, yeah, that would make sense. Like, I know that he's probably making fun, but it also is.
But those two, it's believable. Those two, it is believable.
Yeah, it's also kind of like, you know, because it does seem weird, but they do play it up in the fact that, like, you know, they do give you enough there that you slowly kind of like come onto the other side, and you're just like, actually, they're just nice people.
Yeah.
And the family unit is very good and very well connected. So
very well acted overall. Like, I have to say, from the foster parents and all the foster kids, like, there weren't gaping holes there. Which is pretty hard because that's a lot of characters, and they brought them through the movie, so like it wasn't like they just had one scene they had to get right, so they did okay actually. Again, what did you think of my best friend Zachary Levi? Because I love Chuck. Did you feel he was a good Shazam?
No, he was like very good. He was good at this Shazam.
Yeah,
and I think this version of the Shazam kind of thing, he was very good, very kind of quippy, very nice, kind of thing. I like Jack, he's very good as well. I liked him in Chuck.
I'm glad to see him get his break. I hope this is not the last thing we see him in.
No, I don't think. I think this character has won enough hearts. It's it's a very kind of like, I don't know.
It's got to make the money, I guess. If it makes the money, hopefully he'll get tied. That'll shine down on him as well, and hopefully he'll get other roles, thinking that maybe he's part of the money reason.
Yeah,
what about like Mark Strong? Is that the villain's name? The actor, I think his name is Mark Strong. Strong, anyway. Again, he's always good.
He's always good as a villain.
Yes.
Or even not even a villain. Just as a dark character, he's just very good because he's in Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, he's actually not dark in Kingsman, is he? He's in Kingsman, I think.
No, he's he's Merlin.
Yeah,
and he's very, very good.
But happy to see him too.
Yeah, no, I didn't because I didn't watch many of the trailers and stuff. Right. I didn't actually know he was in the film.
Ah, well, yeah, and he did a great job with what he had as well. I thought if anybody was going to be able to get that much out of it, particularly the menacing, we keep talking about there was a ramp up to a menacing moment. I think he executed that really well, and I was expecting the film to turn into a hard R rating at one point. I thought we were heading somewhere really surprising. We didn't, but he played it well enough that I thought this could. And not many actors could have done that.
He is consistently good as a calm, collective villain.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most scariest versions of the villain that you can get.
Yeah.
Like the Joker's is fucked up for another kind of like, you know, reason and stuff like that. But like it's horrible to see the Kylo Ren, which is he's calm, collective, and then flies into a rage, and you're just like, okay, well, he's just a child. When the character is consistently walking towards you at a slow pace with his arms behind him, talking to you as if he's completely in control of everything that can happen, it's got an element of like, shit, there is no way I'm out of this. You know,
evil
kind of
confidence. Yeah, it's very, very good,
and he oozes it.
He really does. So yeah, let's hope, and I do hope this film is a success, because there are lots of good reasons that this film should be a success, but also particularly for those two leads.
Yes.
And even for the child actors. Hopefully it'll work out well for them because they did well.
Like, overall, I like the film. I know that I have problems with certain things. I definitely think that a good foundation has been laid for the Shazam like series of movies, if they continue, or Shazam himself inside the DC, you know, multi-hero verse.
Yeah.
So I'm interested.
Yeah.
You know?
I would hope that it gets more budget next time, because some of the visual effects weren't Some of the CG was a little bit ropey in places. It was a little bit fuzzed. Not that it'll take away from you. Creature design for some of the monsters I particularly liked. I think, you know, if it's a success and they get a sequel, I'll be more excited for that sequel because I will be looking forward to Shazam 2.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of stuff that they can build upon and just get better. So like, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a good start. Enjoyable film. Go see it. Don't get over expect, I guess is the way to
No, I would
use English badly.
If the best way to describe it is, I would approach it the same way as you approached Ant-Man the first time, which is not knowing what to get, and then you know you'll probably come out with a lot of similar things of what me and Patrick have had.
Yeah, because Shazam is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. That's a terrible one to end the video on, but I think we're there.
Well, we're good enough. So
go.
It's a good film. Go see us, you know, and let us know in the comments what you think. I hope we weren't too spoilery or anything like that. So please I didn't say anything about the ending, which is the part that really irked me.
Yeah.
It really shoved me out of the thing. But as I said, overall, it was a pretty good film. So yeah, give us what you think in the comments below, and also tell us were we too spoilery or anything if you do watch through it.
Yeah, and yeah, essentially. Like, comment, and subscribe if you actually like or have a comment or feel like subscribing. And do get in touch if you've seen Shazam and let us know if we were too close to the spoiler button on this one, because that's the big fear.
We're trying to find a nice balance.
Yeah. So I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
We've been Here Us Out, and
we'll see
Shazam.
you next time. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Choreography. No, terrible.
We need to plan these things out more.
I know.